Hello, and thank you for joining us for this episode of Inside Legal ESG. My name is Pamela Cohn, and it's my delight and honor to be host for this podcast series. Today, we are so excited to have with us Irina Michkina, an in-house sustainability lawyer with more than 10 years of experience, and she's going to tell us all about that when we get into the questions. Thank you for joining us, Irina.
Thank you, Pam.
So let's get started. Tell me about your career and what led you to specialize in sustainability.
So I built my career first as an international business lawyer and have worked in France, Singapore, and now I'm based in the Netherlands in in-house roles across pharma, consumer goods, and tech sectors. And it was really during my time in consumer goods industry that sustainability came into focus. I worked very closely with marketing teams, regulatory, sustainability, and research and development teams. And over time, more and more of the question coming to me were about sustainability, green claims, about products, use of certifications related to sustainability labeling, and the growing wave of ESG regulations. And it also was at that time that EU Green Deal became more prevalent. And I realized that naturally I was more gravitating towards this space. It brought together many of the disciplines I worked in. It's consumer law, procurement, compliance. It touches regulatory work. I also started to engage externally through the ACC ESG group, Association of Corporate Counsel, writing and speaking, and it really strengthened my perspective in this area. Today, in the tech and online travel business, sustainability really has become the core of my legal work.
So this is the jackpot question today. What top ESG issues do you see as priorities for in-house lawyers?
Of course, it depends on the industry where in-house lawyers are, but I would say the overarching regulations, specifically EU developments, that touches all industry, of course, reporting, CS-DDD, CSRD, following the Omnibus saga, I would say. For some industries, it will be more regulation related to manufacturing, let's say UDR, packaging regulations. So that's first bracket of EU developments. Then the second priority, of course, geopolitics for companies specifically operating globally or companies based in EU but who have their headquarters based in the United States. Of course, US new administration impact on sustainability legislations and initiative, we need to follow it. Specificities of state of California as well, and how to conciliate these developments with the EU developments. And the third priority that I also see in-house is more classic, but it's growing and it's always a hot topic, is green claims risk management. Now even more with Empowering Consumer for Green Transition Directive coming into force next year. It's already reinforces many existing greenwashing case law and principles, but it's also clarifying what is expected for future environmental claims. For example, when companies are speaking about their targets, it's also creating new requirements for certifications, what constitutes a credible sustainability certification. And they're also, in general, more focused now on corporate green claims. Before, maybe we've seen a lot of case law around product and services greenwashing, but now we will also see more of corporate claims being challenged and future ambition claims as well. We see this more and more successfully challenged as it requires a very strong substantiation. And we speak a lot about AI, and also the use of AI may, in detecting misleading green claims, may create also an additional risk and a high risk of enforcement. I would say these three topics.
So you mentioned that there's an increased focus on corporate green claims, and that's opposed to product level green claims. So not just a green claim brought at the product level where they're making a claim about a product, but a green claim for the company itself.
Exactly about corporate ambitions. Also, when companies are reporting about their sustainability ambitions or plans, all this can be seen as corporate green claims, which is not per se bad, but it just there is more scrutiny on this, and greenwashing can be also found in those kind of claims.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, thank you. What's the biggest challenge working on ESG in an in-house legal department?
I think specifically as in-house, something perhaps that is seen less in law firms opposing to this is governance.
Mm.
ESG risk are really, it's not just a legal function matter. It should be really evaluated through a cross-functional lens. And we are involving different functions to ensure a coordinated approach across the organization. It can be finance, compliance, sustainability, public affairs. Also, depending on the size of the company, a different legal and compliance team may be involved across the globe, from headquarters, from regional offices. And this coordination and decision on ownership between teams, trying sometimes to find a perfect structure, perfect governance, it can take time. But in a constantly challenging legislative landscape, it's very important to react quickly, spot efficiencies, and spot the risk quickly. Speed is important. So governance, clear roles and responsibilities are crucial to ensure speed, but sometimes it's something that is a challenge. And my recommendation would be is in a way, it doesn't matter where ownership sits. It depends of industry and the legal team's size, but it's important just to try something, and if it doesn't work, try something else. But the speed really matters.
So when you say ownership, it's like, where does ESG sit in the governance structure of an organization? Which department takes the lead? How do you collaborate with?
Exactly.
Like you mentioned, all the departments within an organization need to be aligned.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes the breadth of ESG regulation is very wide, right? You can have some legislation touching employment, some legislation touching accounting, or product teams. So coordination and alignment between teams is essential, but it's also something that may take time, and the right governance will ensure the speed.
Yeah, excellent. So looking ahead, let's look on the more positive side. What are the emerging opportunities or perhaps hidden challenges that are on the horizon for ESG and sustainability? And what should, second part of that question is, what should organizations be preparing for?
Um, Again, we speak a lot about AI. We got a lot of conversation about this, but AI and sustainability it brings additional challenge and potential opportunities. Um, in terms of challenges, of course, how use of AI, some companies are using more and more AI, but how it will impact. We spoke about corporate claims, how it will impact their future ambitions, vision, strategy, and targets. How AI will be incorporated in this calculation and the emissions related to this, and I mentioned also the risk related to AI more enforcement, because AI may be used also to scrap websites, to online platforms, and catch a bit more any signs of greenwashing, for example. But also in terms of opportunities, it may be used for reporting, for data collection, and improve companies' data. So there might be opportunities there that in future we will probably see more and more. Other things, I spoke about greenwashing, but I also think we should speak about social washing, something that may also be more seen in future. Companies' social ambitions claims, not only about the green credential or environmental, but about social impact. There are opportunities there, but also additional scrutiny on how it's substantiated, which kind of evidence companies have, and what is standing behind. And I spoke about ECGT, empowering consumer for green transitions. We may see more scrutiny on certification bodies, certification who certify sustainability claims and the methodologies they're using. And also how companies will handle the geopolitics. Will it then give rise to more cases of green hashing, where companies are maybe afraid to speak about their green credentials because of politics or also challenges and enforcement, so they prefer to avoid scrutiny? That might be a question that in-house lawyers will need to consider.
And you mentioned social washing. Elaborate on that a little bit. What would be an example of a company potentially being accused of social washing, or I suppose social hushing in today's environment in the US, and particularly it might be hushing?
What I see as social washing is again, potentially inadvertently, some companies are truly trying, but the way they may present the ambition may trigger questions. For example, when they make claims about diversity and inclusion, numbers, or even speaking about LGBT efforts, things like that, or potentially social impact of the company on local populations. All these are more broad social claims, and they are working like any claims, any marketing claims. We all speak about greenwashing, but any marketing claims should be substantiated, have evidence, presented in a non-misleading way, be transparent, and all this can be also applicable to this kind of social claims.
Absolutely. So how can companies who are operating globally, because we talked a lot about geopolitics and the varying regulations, how can they address green claims compliance, as an example, across multiple jurisdictions, right? The rules are different everywhere. So how does a company address that?
I think specifically in global companies operating in multiple jurisdictions, it's important to take a global view to elevate yourself. Some companies may wish to adapt their claims to specific markets, but I believe specifically it can work for many claims and many matters, but for green claims and for environmental marketing specifically, and ESG claims and social claims, it's not only a legal matter, it's also a reputation and an ethical question. It's not purely about compliance. For example, if you're challenged in one jurisdiction on a very vague claim, let's say eco-friendly product or service, and you don't have enough substantiation, and you withdraw this claim, but then you continue to have this claim in another market. And in this market, maybe the enforcement is not that quick, and it's not really the priority of that market, but it still doesn't look good to consumers. It doesn't look good as a company. It's not helping to build trust with consumers and with the audience. So having a global view is important and apply similar standards across the globe. How to have a global view is creating a company position helps, creating company guidelines on what is really the minimum standard for the whole company that they will apply in all jurisdictions, involving, of course, in the process a cross-functional team and training relevant functions on this matter. So there are no inadvertent cases of greenwashing. And also what can help specifically for in-house lawyers, you may say, but it's difficult to have how to find this minimum standard. But there are many active jurisdictions in this field, and we really can see if we follow them that they follow similar logic. Of course, enforcement might be different. There are some subtleties here and there, but the logic quite often is similar. And helping understanding the trends in this jurisdiction can help companies to find this kind of starting position. If people don't have time in Europe, personally, I would follow France, Germany, and the Netherlands because they're very active. Outside of European Union, UK, if only we have time for one state in the United States, state of California, and Australia are usually very active in this space.
So my favorite question to end with is everything we've talked about, given the current challenging environment that we live in, what gives you hope and why do you keep working in this space?
I hope that we spoke about technology, AI. I hope that technological developments in science will be used for good and we will find some new creative solutions that may be uncovered. But also, I think most importantly, passionate people, specifically in sustainability, environmental, technical, professional fields. In all companies I worked, people are in this position really, it's rarely by mistake. They are driven, they're technically knowledgeable, committed to sustainability on a more personal level as well. And I've met people in research and development, packaging recyclability, product resiliency teams, very technical people. They're really trying to push for solution from within and advocate internally. And as long as these people will be around, I think there is hope.
I love that you said that people rarely end up working in this space by mistake, right? This is much by design and not by default, that those of us who are passionate about this have made it our, which gives me hope. And talking to people you that are doing this good work gives me hope. So thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a delight to hear from you and to hear the in-house perspective. I look forward to chatting with you again.
Thank you, Pam, and thank you for engaging lawyers from different backgrounds, those conversations.
My privilege. Take care.